Hello, and thank you for joining me to talk about developing a model personal finance course for Pennsylvania high schools. This is Hillary Hunt, coordinator for the Making Sense project. First, let me give you a little bit of background. This entire project is a partnership between the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Penn State University. Our partners in this, Sally Flaherty, representing the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and Dr. Kathy Bowen with Penn State University will be joining us for our work session at the end of the month. This entire thing is part of a series of financial literacy and economic education initiatives brought about by Act 104 of 2010. Overall, the Making Sense program has a variety of different initiatives. We've been providing online professional development or webinars throughout the school year, both this last school year and the one previous. We've been providing e-blasts or electronic newsletters, and we have a website that serves as a resource for teachers and educators across the state. And finally, we've been working on curriculum development, which is where the work that our group will be doing fits in. We've already laid some of the groundwork for the work that we'll be doing at the end of the month, primarily through the development of a model K-12 financial education curriculum. Last year, a team of teachers met in State College and worked on the model curriculum for grades K-12. That was reviewed both at PDE and then put out for public review and comment through the end of this last month, April 2014. I have been receiving comment from a variety of different sources, and we will be making a number of revisions. That is all currently in process. One thing that we'll be doing, for example, is adjusting it to be pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. We'll also be revising a few of the competencies and adjusting a few of the standards correlation. We're also looking at the potential of adding the standards for student interpersonal skills as they correlate at a number of the different grade levels. That model K-12 financial education curriculum, which each of you should have received in the information that I've sent out, identifies 6 big ideas: money management, earning, borrowing money, financial services, risk management and insurance, and saving and investing. In addition to that, we identified long-term transfer goals, what students will be able to do ultimately with the learning that they receive. So, as you can see here, make decisions related to managing personal financial resources, building their earning capability, protecting assets, and adapting to unexpected events. Apply sound decision-making principles through the many life stages. Exhibit mindful money management behaviors that benefit themselves and their families. And then with each of the 6 big ideas, we've defined those a little bit more and added a number of essential questions for each of those. Then for each of the big ideas and essential questions, we identified the core concepts and competencies at each of the different grade level bands and their corresponding standards. So here you can see we've identified the concepts for money management, financial goals, decision-making, spending plans, and some of the competencies at each grade level. To make it a little bit easier for some grade levels, we then broke those down to look at what would be necessary just, for example, at the K-2 grade level. This is going to be changing to pre-K-2, but you can get the idea so that it makes it a little bit more digestible. We've also been working this year on a feasibility project. This is focused at the K-8 portion of the model curriculum, looking for points of integration, particularly as they relate to math and language arts. This will also be coming out in SAS at later times, but goes hand in hand with the work that we've been doing. Part of what has come out is what we now call grade band summaries. So this is now the grade band summary that we have currently in draft form for pre-K-2. So I'll read this for the group. In the initial years of elementary school, children acquire a basic understanding of how people earn and use their money. They understand that people in their community perform jobs to earn money and provide a service in the community, including those performed by financial institutions. Students can describe ways in which people spend, share, give, and protect their money, and provide reasons why people do each. They learn to set goals and develop a plan for achieving them. They learn that there is a difference between things they want and things they need. They learn that choices have consequences and can identify the characteristics of a good borrower. Students can identify items of value to them and determine ways to keep those things safe. Students can identify basic risks and how to reduce them, such as wearing a helmet to be safe while riding a bike. So that is the overall summary for grades pre-kindergarten through 2nd grade. We will also then have corresponding grade level summaries that break that down for pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade, and what the focus should be at each of those grade levels. That continues through each of the grade level bands. So here we see the summary for grades 3 to 5, grades 6 to 8, and then similarly for high school. And this is where we'll be focused on our work. So here's the grade band summary for high school. In high school, students become prepared to live independent financial lives. They set goals and make plans for how to earn, save, spend, and share their financial resources. They hypothesize the income they will require in the future needed to maintain a desired standard of living. They analyze a career goal and investigate the steps necessary in achieving it. They understand the differences between gross and net pay and the factors that influence each. They can explain the purposes of basic tax forms and can complete a simple tax form. They can explain different ways to pay for goods and services and develop a logical argument for using a specific payment method, including various forms of credit. Students understand the impact of their credit score and know what information impacts it. Students are able to complete basic financial applications, such as those for a loan or a credit card. They know the risks associated with identity theft and how to prevent it. Students understand ways to manage risk, including through the use of various types of insurance. Students analyze savings goals and critique investment plans in terms of their ability to achieve goals of liquidity, income, growth, and tax benefit. Students understand the risks and returns of various investments. Finally, students understand that laws enforced by federal and state agencies can protect consumers. And so this is the summary of what we will be focusing on the high school level. In the K to 8 grades, as I mentioned before, we will have a grade level summary. So breaking apart the grade band into individual grades. So the 6 through 8 will be divided to grade 6, grade 7, grade 8. At the high school level, however, we're approaching this and trying to aim for a course that could be delivered at any point during the grades 9 through 12 that would, in essence, cover the vast majority of these concepts and competencies at the high school level. Our course grade level will be indicated as high school, but we are making a recommendation to school districts that they consider having this course in the grades 11 or 12. As we've seen from most schools that implement courses, that's where they tend to be of the greatest benefit. So, what will the course look like when it is done? Where will it live? What will it include? And what else we might identify if time for inclusion elsewhere when we're together? We're going to take a look at that next. First, let's take a look at where this will finally live, and that is on the Pennsylvania Department of Education's Standards Aligned System. One thing that you will need to do before coming to our session at the end of the month is obtain a user ID and password on the PDE SAS website if you don't already have one. It's very simple to do. There's a simple method of going to the homepage at pdesas.org. That's pdesas.org, and creating a username. Once you are logged in, you will see that your name is indicated in the top area and that you are currently logged in and have access to the teacher tools. That is where we are going to go and look right now. So click on Teacher Tools when you go back and do this. And then from there, you're going to look at the Curriculum Mapping tool. That's over here on the right-hand side. What we are developing is going to look very much like the curriculum instructional frameworks for English Language Arts and for math. So for the purpose of today's discussion, let's take a look at the ones for the math area. And so here we can see that it looks very similar to what we've done. We have long-term transfer goals, big ideas, and essential questions. That document for personal finance has already been created. It's the one that I mentioned is under review and revision right now. The PA core standards, focus and important standards. For us, this is a little bit different because we're looking at standards from 4 other disciplines primarily: economics, family and consumer science, BCIT, or the Business Computer Information Technology standards, and the Career Education and Work standards. The curriculum map components, those are defined for each of the elements, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. The grade band summaries. I just showed you that in the PowerPoint. We've developed the grade band summaries for pre-K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 through 12, just as they have here for math. The grade level summaries, again, that's also been done and focuses on each of those from pre-K to 8, and then, as I mentioned earlier, we're just doing one for the high school level. Then the grade level curriculum map summaries, and this will look a little bit different, and then same with the modules by grade level, and I'll talk a little bit more about that perhaps a little bit later when we're together. But what I really want us to look at is what this looks like for a course. And so as we scroll down, we can see that in math they have done this for each of the different grade levels, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first grade, what have you, all the way through to the high school level courses. And so you see, and they're spread out a little bit differently depending on when they were added, but you see math for Algebra 1, Module 3, or up at the top, Module 2, down here, Algebra 1, Module 1, and so on. And so there's modules built out for algebra around each of their big ideas. Same with for Algebra 2 and geometry. And then again, we still see some of the other grade levels. So let's take a look at Algebra 1 and just use that as an example. So here we see Algebra 1, Module 2. Well, what does that look like? And you'll find this looks very similar to the document that I've sharing with you. So here for Math Algebra 1, Module 2, we've identified the subject. In our case, this will be personal finance, the grade, the module, the suggested timeline, that's something that we'll need to discuss, the grade level summary, again, this has been defined, the grade level modules, each of these is based on our big ideas, the module title, module overview, module objectives, the standards for mathematical practice. This won't apply to ours because we're not taking a look at those. And then the focus standards addressed in this module, these again will come from those 4 different standards areas: economics, FCS, BCIT, and career education and work. And then important standards, and we'll talk a little bit when we're together about the difference between focus standards and important standards. And then I think this is a really interesting component to the curriculum map: some misconceptions and proper conceptions. And this is something the team will spend some time talking about. So what are some of the misconceptions maybe about money management or credit, and what are the proper conceptions? This is followed by the core concepts and the competencies. Again, this for the most part has already been drafted as part of the K-12 curriculum. And then the vocabulary. Now, while this wasn't part of the K-12 curriculum that you see in the document that you've already received, a lot of this work was done by our team earlier last year. And so in the draft document that I'll be providing to you, many of these vocabulary terms are already included. And then we have the assessments. This is again another key component of where our time will be spent together at the end of the month. This area and the following, the suggested strategies to support design of coherent instruction. And here you see, this is where we'll provide suggestions for teachers about how they can teach the content that we're suggesting in this module. And then, following the suggestions for instruction, we have discussion of opportunities and ways to differentiate instruction, interdisciplinary connections, additional resources, and then who this document was created by. And I'll talk again a little bit about that when I share with you the document. Here we have the template for the curriculum map for our Model High School Personal Finance course. This is taking what we just looked at on SAS and just taking it into a Word document so that it's easier for us to work with while we're together and edit before it goes onto SAS. So you're each receiving a copy of this template right now in PDF form until we arrive at the session, at which point each team will have the ability to make edits and changes. But for right now, I'm maintaining ownership of the document so that we don't have any edits being made prior to us getting together. So let's talk a little bit about what you'll find here on the template. The following template will be used for the development of the Model High School Personal Finance course. Below is the basic template with explanations as needed. Note that in the merged document, each module is color-coded to ease in distinguishing between modules when scrolling in the document. So what does that mean by merged document? Well, basically, instead of having one document for each module, one standalone Word document, right now I have all of them merged together in one document. At some point, we may break these up so that those working on money management only have the one that has money management, and so forth and so on. But for right now, I'm keeping all of them in one document. And again, they are color-coded. So we see this light purple is money management, the light blue is earning money, light yellow is borrowing money, light green, financial services, the light peachish color or orange color is risk management, and finally, the light pink is saving and investing. I have gone ahead and put into the document some of the things that will be the same for all of the modules. So we have high school personal finance, module number, module title. Those have already been pre-populated based on the big ideas from the model curriculum. The subject here, personal finance. Grade, high school. As we discussed earlier, grade 11 or 12 recommended. The suggested timeline, the number of weeks, and this is going to be based on an 18-week or one semester course. This is one of the things that we will work together as we are to decide how many weeks we will allot or devote to each of the different modules. This was already discussed some by the first team that met last year, but we want to revisit that with the group that we'll have together at the end of the month. And then we have our grade level summaries. So this is going to be taken straight from the grade band and grade level summaries from the framework that I've been working on, again, that I introduced you to earlier. Then we have the grade level modules, the list of the 6 modules, the module title and number, the big idea for this one, and then the essential questions. Now, the big idea and the essential questions, you might remember, were not on SAS. However, for the ease of working and not having to go back and forth between documents, I went ahead and included those in the template that we're going to be working with in Word. And as you'll see below in a minute, I've already pre-populated much of this. Then we have the module overview, the module objectives, the focus standards, the important standards, misconceptions and proper conceptions, concepts, competencies, vocabulary, assessments, elements of instruction or suggested strategies, differentiation, interdisciplinary connections, additional resources, and who it was created by. So let's take a look at a few of the notes that I've made here. Okay, going up to the module overview here. In this module, students will learn. Okay, each of your work teams will be writing these. My suggestion is that you save this for last so that you can write the overview after it's done. You will also be working together to develop the module objectives. So at the end of this module, students will be able to independently use their learning to ... Again, you will write this. I am providing you with an additional document with sample objectives that might be able to serve as a springboard for you. And then in this next section, we have the focus standards. All right, I have pre-populated this section for each module with the standards that were referenced in the model curriculum. In addition, I've added the interpersonal skills standards as I believe they are appropriate. Your team should review these standards. Are they relevant? Which are focus standards and which should be moved to the important standards below if needed? Like we saw in the math one, in some cases, your modules may only have focus standards and they may not have important standards. But if some of them are more important than others, you may differentiate. You will work on developing misconceptions and proper conceptions. This is one area where you might want to spend some time in advance of our time together thinking about misconceptions and proper conceptions on the topics that you are assigned to work on, or the modules you're assigned to. The concepts and competencies. Again, these have been pre-populated based on the model curriculum. You should be looking to see if these are accurate, if there should be anything else added, and if so, I would like you to make sure that you discuss those with me as we are working through them, because they could have repercussions with the model curriculum document. And then over here on the right, we have the vocabulary terms. As I mentioned before, this is something that we did when we were working on the model curriculum. I'll actually be bringing some of the same flip charts we used last year in State College, where we used sticky notes, or little post-it notes, and put up all of our vocabulary terms on those, as we were working to make sure that all of the topics and terms that we wanted to cover made sure that they had a fit somewhere within each of our big ideas and our modules. The assessment piece is where I anticipate you spending a great bit of your time there and in the elements of instruction or suggested strategies. This is probably where we're going to spend what I would consider the bulk of our time. For the assessments, I want to make sure that we include at least one summative assessment, preferably a performance task. You might also include specific suggestions or ideas for formative assessments. The assessments can be prepared in a separate Word document if you so wish, and that is actually probably what I would recommend. This might allow an opportunity for our teams to divide, and some work on the assessment pieces and some work on the elements of instruction after a basic agreement to the content for each has been determined. If you are pulling your assessment items from any previously created document, you will need to note the source of that assessment item, as we may need to approach those organizations or those creators and ask for permission. If they are teacher-created, please indicate the teacher's name. Elements of instruction and suggested strategies. Again, this is where we will talk about or suggest to teachers how they may go about instructing in these areas, and again, where I believe the majority of our time will be spent. Next, we have differentiation. Here is where you will include some suggested strategies to assist with helping struggling learners and/or those that are advanced or gifted. Next, I'd like to see different ways that folks can make interdisciplinary connections, especially those with math and language arts. I'm also happy to assist with those. Additional resources. Links to resources that may support the content and/or instruction. I have already gone ahead and provided links and information about those lessons from the NEFI High School Financial Planning Program, VISA's Practical Money Skills for Life, the Keys to Financial Success course from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and from Take Charge Today's advanced curriculum. Please make sure that you believe or are in agreement with the topics and the lessons that I've chosen to align with each unit. I also have another document that I'll share with you in a moment that indicates where some of those lessons and some of those curriculum currently don't have are not linked in the additional resources, and I believe that some of those are areas where we want to discuss where their proper placement might be. And finally, a list of those who worked on this document. And I have already, again, here included your names and your school districts so that we can save some time while we're together. Let's look at this now for Module 1. So here I have the grade level summary. Now you might notice the grade level summary is different than the grade band summary that we had before, and this is again something that we may have some conversation about while we're together. But then we also have the grade level modules: money management, earning income, borrowing money, financial services, risk management, saving, and investing. You will notice that we've had a few changes to the nomenclature of some of these modules. For example, we now have earning income instead of just earning, and we removed insurance from risk management. This is brought about by some of the changes to the curriculum based on feedback, and again, we can discuss some of these in detail when we're together. But here we have the next piece, the module title, the big idea from the curriculum document, the essential questions, the module overview. Again, this is where you start filling in the module objectives. That's another part where you'll fill in. The focus standards, these are all of the standards from that were identified in the model curriculum that correlate. The important standards addressed in this unit, so you may need to move or copy and paste some of the ones from above down below if you find that that's necessary to differentiate between focus and important standards. Then we have the misconceptions and proper conceptions, the concepts, the competencies, and the vocabulary that are tied to this module. The assessment and the elements of instruction, differentiation, and interdisciplinary connections are for the most part blank. This is where you'll be spending the bulk of your time again. And then here, the additional resources. I try to do as much of the legwork as I can so that we are again focusing on the most important pieces of our work when we're together. So here you see I have the National Endowment for Financial Education's High School Financial Planning Program, and the links are the lessons that are appropriate or correlate to our module on money management. Same with those from the Keys to Financial Success program from the Federal Reserve, VISA's Practical Money Skills for Life, and University of Arizona's Advanced Level Take Charge Today curriculum. Each of those have links for where teachers can access those, as well as information about whether or not they need to have a login or what have you to be able to do so. And then finally, I have the names and school districts or the organizations for each of those working on each team. And you'll see that this has been done then for each of the modules. And as I mentioned before, since I'm working with all of these in one document right now for the ease of drafting, I have, as I mentioned before, color-coded these documents just so that we can scroll through them easily and know which one we're on. Also, you notice that the tables that these are done in are set so that the first or the top row of each of the tables repeats on every page level. I would ask that if there's anything that you're going to do with the formatting of the documents as you're working together in your groups, please talk to me, because we want to make sure that we maintain consistency in the formatting so it's a lot easier for me later to merge them back together and into one document. And that, I believe, covers pretty much the curriculum mapping tool and the template that we will be using while we're together. This concludes the overview for the Model High School Personal Finance course work session that you'll be participating in at the end of the month. In the email that you received with the link to this video, you will see that there are a number of questions for you to answer and comment on after you're done. I ask that you please go back to that email and reply to me with the answers to those questions and any follow-up questions that you might have, so that we may answer those as best we can either before the session or make sure that we address them when we're together. Again, thank you, and I look forward to the opportunity to work together with each of you as we move forward on this very important project. Have a great day.